In the year 1482, the great city of Paris awakens beneath a cold winter sky. Above everything rises the imposing cathedral of Notre-Dame, silent and solemn, like a witness to human suffering and passion. It is the day of the Feast of Fools. The poet Pierre Gringoire tries in vain to present his play before a noisy crowd that completely ignores him. Suddenly, everyone's attention turns toward Quasimodo, the deaf and deformed bell-ringer of Notre-Dame Cathedral. Terrifying in appearance, yet strong and imposing, he is chosen and crowned the Pope of Fools. The crowd laughs at him, mocks him, and triumphantly carries him through the streets of Paris. In the midst of this chaos begins the story of a woman who will change the destinies of three men, each living a different form of love, each condemned in a different way by his own feelings. In the square appears Esmeralda, the young gypsy whose beauty seems to illuminate the entire city. She dances with an almost unreal grace, accompanied by her little goat, Jolly. Her presence brings, for a brief moment, light and charm into a dark and cruel Paris. Captain Phoebus, handsome, vain, and accustomed to conquering women, is immediately drawn to her beauty. The poet Gringoire admires her innocence and delicacy. But the most dangerous of them all is Claude Frollo, the archdeacon of the cathedral. Within his soul is born a dark and forbidden obsession, the desire of a man of the church who can no longer control his passion. High in the towers of Notre-Dame, Quasimodo gazes upon Esmeralda for the first time. His lonely heart, which had never known kindness, is touched by a pure and impossible love. That very night, blinded by desire, Frollo orders his loyal servant Quasimodo to kidnap the girl he himself desires. The kidnapping attempt fails, and Quasimodo is captured and sentenced to be publicly whipped at the pillory. The crowd insults him, laughs at him, and throws stones while blood runs down his back. Consumed by thirst and pain, Quasimodo begs for water. No one answers him. No one shows him compassion. Then, the only person who offers him mercy is Esmeralda. Without fear, she approaches him and gently gives him water. For Quasimodo, that simple gesture becomes the first moment of true kindness in his life. From that moment on, he loves her deeply and forever. At the same time, Esmeralda becomes enchanted by the handsome Captain Phoebus, who represents for her the world of beauty, safety, and ideal love. But within Frollo's soul, jealousy begins to burn more fiercely. Esmeralda falls passionately in love with Phoebus, convinced that his sweet words and charm hide a sincere love. In reality, Phoebus seeks only pleasure and adventure, without sharing her feelings. In the Court of Miracles, Gringoire is saved by Esmeralda and ends up in a symbolic marriage with her. The poet loves her in silence, but knows he will never be chosen by her heart. Meanwhile, Frollo's obsession gradually transforms into madness. As a man of the church, he hates himself for the desire he feels, yet he cannot break free from it. The only pure love remains that of Quasimodo. He desires nothing for himself. He only wants to protect the woman who offered him compassion for the first time. Frollo secretly watches Phoebus and Esmeralda during their secret meeting. Consumed by jealousy and rage, the archdeacon stabs Phoebus from behind and allows Esmeralda to be accused of the crime. The young woman is arrested and put on trial for witchcraft and murder. During the brutal trial and torture, overwhelmed by pain and fear, Esmeralda confesses to a crime she did not commit. She is sentenced to death by hanging. Then the tragic truth of every love becomes clear. Phoebus loved only her beauty. Gringoire loved her through words. Frollo loved her through obsession and desire. while Quasimodo loved her with his entire being. On the day of the execution, just as Esmeralda is being led to the gallows, Quasimodo descends from the cathedral towers with terrifying strength. He tears her from the hands of the executioners and carries her inside Notre-Dame, shouting powerfully, "Sanctuary, sanctuary." Under the protection of the cathedral, Esmeralda finds, for the first time, a true refuge. In the silence of the towers, she begins to discover the kindness hidden within Quasimodo's soul. But Claude Frollo is already completely consumed by obsession. His desire has transformed him into a man capable of anything. He will not stop until he either possesses her or destroys her. The king orders the revocation of the right of sanctuary. The beggars and people of the Court of Miracles march toward the cathedral to save Esmeralda. Alone in the towers of Notre-Dame, Quasimodo fights desperately for the woman he loves. He throws stones and beams and pours molten lead upon those trying to enter the cathedral. In the midst of chaos and violence, his love for Esmeralda remains the only pure thing in a world dominated by cruelty, desire, and betrayal. Inside the cathedral, Frollo confronts Esmeralda and offers her a terrible choice: accept his love or die. With courage and disgust, Esmeralda rejects the man who claims to love her, but only wishes to possess her. Consumed by fury, Frollo betrays her and hands her over to the authorities. At the same time, Quasimodo desperately searches for her throughout the cathedral. His heart breaks when he realizes that the woman for whom he would have died has been taken from him once again. Esmeralda is hanged before a silent crowd. From the cathedral towers, Quasimodo helplessly watches the death of the only person who had ever shown him kindness and compassion. When he sees Frollo mercilessly watching the girl's execution, his grief turns into uncontrollable fury. In one final act of revenge, Quasimodo pushes the archdeacon from the heights of Notre-Dame Cathedral. Frollo falls to his death. Afterward, Quasimodo descends and remains beside Esmeralda's lifeless body, overwhelmed by grief. Many years later, in the crypt beneath the cathedral, two skeletons are discovered. One is massive and deformed, Quasimodo. The other is delicate and fragile, Esmeralda. The two bodies had remained united in one final embrace, as though not even death could separate them. Quasimodo had loved her until the very end, with a sincere and pure love. Thus ends the tragedy of Notre-Dame. Phoebus loved beauty. Frollo loved through obsession and selfish desire, while Quasimodo loved with all his wounded soul. True love often remains unseen, tragic, and eternal. Curse upon those who love only with the body,